Yesterday, something happened that shook me to my core. My neighbor, Sarah Johnson, who lives just 2 doors down in our quiet, tree-lined suburban Cleveland neighborhood, rushed over to my porch. Her face was pale, her hands were trembling, and she blurted out words that still echo in my mind. "I can't do this anymore, Linda. After 50 years with Tom, just being around him feels like a physical weight on my chest." Sarah just turned 70 last month. To everyone on our block, she and Tom have always seemed like the perfect couple, the bedrock of our community. They're the ones always hosting summer barbecues, the ones waving cheerfully from their perfectly manicured lawn. But the raw, undeniable pain in her eyes hit me like a freight train. And in that moment, I froze, because I realized this wasn't just Sarah's story. Maybe you're feeling it too. This quiet, creeping resentment. This feeling of being utterly invisible to the person you've shared a lifetime with. It's not uncommon. In fact, experts and therapists are seeing an epidemic of women over 60 who are becoming increasingly, profoundly frustrated with their husbands. Before we delve into this, if you find this conversation meaningful, you can help me continue to spread these important old age lessons by liking this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so and to turn on the bell so you don't miss any of our future discussions. Now, let's look at the facts, because they are staggering. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that nearly 70% of all divorces among older couples are initiated by wives. Even more shockingly, the rate of divorce for couples in their 70s has more than tripled over the past decade. Why? Why, after decades of building a life together, does your husband suddenly feel like a stranger? Or worse, an anchor dragging you down? Have you caught yourself letting out a deep sigh when you see his face first thing in the morning? Have you found yourself talking to him, pouring out your heart, and feeling like you're shouting into a void? You've spent 30, 40, 50 years side by side, yet you lie awake at night wondering, does he even know who I am anymore? You slave over a beautiful dinner, and he eats without so much as a thank you, as if it's your designated job. When you're sick with a fever, shivering under the blankets, he's glued to the television in the next room, not even thinking to ask if you need a glass of water. These are not just fleeting annoyances. These are symptoms of something much deeper, rooted in psychology, biology, and decades of unspoken social contracts. Understanding the mechanics behind these feelings can lift a monumental burden from your heart. It's like finally opening a window in a stuffy, suffocating room. Today, I am going to dive deep into why so many women feel this way, unpacking the psychological gears turning behind these powerful emotions. And most importantly, I will share practical, compassionate steps to navigate this painful reality. So please stick with me until the end. Let's circle back to Sarah's story, because the details she shared are what truly shook me. Last night, she had cooked Tom's absolute favorite meal, meatloaf, creamy mashed potatoes, the works. It was the meal she made for his 40th birthday, the one he always requested after a hard week. He sat down at the table, ate in complete silence, his eyes fixed on some distant point, and offered not a single word of appreciation. It was, she said, as if she were a short-order cook in a diner he happened to be sitting in. Later, as she stood at the sink scrubbing the greasy plates, her hands raw from the dish soap, Tom was already sprawled out on his recliner, mindlessly channel surfing through ESPN. The sound of the cheering crowds felt like a mockery of the silence in their home. "But the flu last week," she told me, her voice cracking. "That was the breaking point. I was bedridden, achy and miserable, and he didn't check on me once. Not to bring me a cup of tea, not to feel my forehead, not even to ask how I was feeling. 50 years, Linda," she said, tears finally welling up and spilling down her cheeks.
50 years. And this is what I am to him. A maid, an invisible appliance.
Her words hung heavy in the air between us. But there was more. The resentment wasn't just about a lack of care. It was about a lack of support for her soul. When Sarah mentioned, with a spark of excitement in her voice, that she wanted to join a local Habitat for Humanity project, to volunteer and feel useful again, Tom had scoffed. Why would you want to waste your time with that nonsense? He didn't see her need to do something meaningful. He saw it as an inconvenience. Then when she brought up her upcoming high school reunion in Akron, a chance to reconnect with her own past, he rolled his eyes. What's the point of digging up old memories with those people? It was more than just dismissive. It felt like he was actively stomping on her dreams, extinguishing her need to reconnect with the vibrant woman she used to be. And Sarah is not alone. My friend Emily Davis, who lives across town, echoed the exact same heartache. Since her husband, Mike, retired from his demanding accounting job, he's been parked at home 24/7. But does he lift a finger to help? No. He is glued to the living room television, flipping between CNN and golf tournaments, while Emily vacuums around his feet. When she tries to engage him, to share a story about a book she's reading or a neighbor's new grandkid, Mike grunts one-word replies, his eyes never leaving the screen. It's not just the silence, Emily told me, her voice filled with a quiet desperation. It's like I've become background noise in my own home. Then, Emily shared something that truly broke my heart. Last month, she began, our daughter Claire came home for a visit from Chicago. The moment she walked in, Mike lit up. He became a different person. He was joking with her about her job, asking about her kids, even laughing about her silly dog. They talked and laughed for hours. But when Claire leaves and I try to talk about my day, he just zones out. His face goes blank. Why am I the only one he tunes out? It feels like a slap in the face every single day. Then there's Laura Wilson, a mutual friend from our book club. Her situation feels even darker, tinged with a subtle, controlling anger. When Laura excitedly announced she was starting a watercolor painting class, her husband, Jim, sneered, "What's that going to do for you at your age?" When she planned a simple lunch with friends at a new bistro downtown, he grumbled, "Stop wasting our money on frivolous things." Laura confided in me, her voice a whisper, "It's like he's trying to cage me, like my happiness is a threat to him. Don't I get to have a life too?" So why is this happening to so many women? It boils down to a profound, tragic disconnect. As a general rule, women continue to evolve emotionally, socially, and intellectually as they age, while many men tend to stagnate, stuck in old patterns and roles that no longer serve them. As women hit their 60s and 70s, life shifts dramatically. The kids have moved out, careers are winding down or over, and suddenly there is time. Time to breathe, time to think, time to reflect. And that's when the epiphany often hits with the force of a tidal wave. I have spent my entire life putting everyone else first. My kids, my husband, my job, my aging parents. Who am I now that all of that is done? My friend Rachel Adams, who runs a small, charming bakery in Lakewood, put it beautifully. After my youngest son left for college, she told me, I caught my reflection in the shop window one day, and I barely recognized myself. The gray hair, the tired eyes. I used to love baking for the sheer joy of it, but it had become just work. I used to devour mystery novels, but I realized I hadn't read one in years. I asked myself, was this it? Did I just live to serve everyone else? This epiphany sparks a powerful, healthy hunger to reclaim oneself. Women start book clubs, they join yoga classes at the YMCA, they volunteer, they call up old friends from college they haven't spoken to in decades. This is not selfish, It is a natural, vital, and beautiful urge to rediscover the person you are beneath all the roles you've played. But many men, they don't make that same leap. For them, retirement isn't a door to a new beginning. It's the end of the only identity they've ever known. Their days often fall into a monotonous, empty routine. Wake up, watch morning television, eat lunch, take a nap, watch more television. My friend Karen Peterson's husband, Ed, is a textbook case. He spent 35 years as a factory supervisor, a man who was always busy, always needed, always in charge. Now he's just adrift, Karen said with a sigh. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He mows the lawn twice a week, even when it doesn't need it, just to feel useful. Otherwise, it's just the couch and the remote control. Men like Ed lean on habits forged in the structured world of work, a world of clear tasks, deadlines, and hierarchies. At work, they knew their role. But retirement strips that away, and many struggle profoundly to create a new sense of purpose from within. So, when their wives start talking about feelings, dreams, or even small, simple joys, their problem-solving brain kicks in and thinks, if there's no issue to fix here, why are we diving into this? We've been married forever. The system works. Why change it? This creates a gaping chasm. Women are growing, learning, and chasing new passions, while many men seem frozen in time, like relics of their past selves. This is precisely why women like Sarah start to feel, I am trying to blossom, but he is holding me back. I can't thrive with him. The communication gap makes everything worse. As women age, they often crave deeper, more intimate heart-to-heart talks, the kind of conversation where you feel truly seen and heard. But many men continue to seek conversation as purely transactional, something needed only to convey information or solve a problem. Brain science actually backs this up. In general, women's brains have more robust connections between the amygdala, the emotion center, and the areas responsible for language, like Broca's area. This means emotion and language are more tightly interwoven. Women want to share their inner world and in return feel understood. A woman might say, I ran into Lisa at the grocery store. Her daughter just got engaged. Lisa was glowing and it made me feel so happy for her. She is not just reporting news, she's extending an invitation to her husband to share in that feeling of joy with her. But he might just reply, good for them, and flip back to SportsCenter. She feels crushed, thinking, why doesn't he care about what I feel? He's confused, thinking, it's not a problem, so what more is there to say? This gap, which was probably always there, widens with age. When you were younger, the beautiful chaos of life, raising kids, juggling jobs, paying mortgages, masked these fundamental differences. But now, in the quiet of an empty nest, they are impossible to ignore. Another powerful layer emerges as you age, the ticking of the clock. In your 60s or 70s, your own mortality starts to feel real. You lose friends, you bury parents, and you begin to ask the terrifying question, how many good, healthy years do I have left? This creates a fierce urgency to spend your remaining time on what truly matters. My friend Patricia faced this head-on last year when her best friend, Judy, died at 67 from breast cancer. It was a brutal wake-up call, Patricia told me. Judy was so full of plans, a trip to Italy, a knitting group she was starting, and then just gone. I realized my time is running out too. I want to live it fully. But when she looked at her husband, Ron, she felt trapped. Is this it? She asked me, her voice trembling. The same breakfast? The same sitcoms? Me picking up his socks? Ron's not a bad guy, but our days feel like Groundhog Day. If this is the rest of my life, I can't breathe. She is not being heartless. She is being human, craving a life that feels authentic and meaningful. So, what is the way out of this painful labyrinth? It is not about fixing him. You cannot remodel a man after 50 years. Pushing for a complete overhaul will only lead to him getting defensive and you feeling more dismissed. The path forward is about shifting your own lens. First, you must recalibrate your expectations. This is a painful but liberating step. You have to accept him for who he is, warts and all. Stop chasing the Hallmark movie husband you have in your head and try to see the real, imperfect man in front of you. It's hard. Letting go of long-held dreams stings. But often, it's those unspoken, unrealistic expectations that are choking you. Instead of pining for grand romantic gestures, start actively looking for his small, quiet acts of love. He shovels the driveway after a snowstorm. He makes sure your car has gas. He fixes the leaky sink without being asked. Don't shrug these off. See them for what they are, his language of care. Second, tweak how you communicate. Skip the vague, open-ended pleas like, "You need to be more present." Instead, try a specific, bite-sized, and actionable request. "Honey, can we please chat for just 10 minutes about my day after dinner with no TV on? It would mean the world to me." Men often respond much better to a clear task with a defined start and end point. But above all, and this is the most important step, do not hinge your joy on him. Thinking, "I will finally be happy when he changes," is handing him the keys to your heart and soul. You must take those keys back. You must craft your own happiness independently of him. Sign up for that pottery class you've been eyeing. Organize a weekly wine night with your friends. Volunteer at the animal shelter. When your life begins to bloom with your own passions and connections, his flaws and his grumpiness will sting less. They will no longer be the center of your universe. This is what transformed my neighbor, Sarah. She joined that pottery studio in Ohio City. She was terrified at first, but she made friends, she learned a new skill, and now her days glow with purpose. Tom called it a waste of time at first, she told me with a smile, but I calmly told him, "This is for me." And now I'm so wrapped up in glazing techniques and coffee dates with my studio friends, I barely notice Tom's grumpiness anymore. And the funny thing is, I'm less mad at him. I stopped waiting for him to make me happy. And now that I'm not looking for it so desperately, I see his quiet kindness. Like when he fills my water jug for my plants without me asking. Or when he looked at my new clay vase and said, "Damn, that looks nice." That small compliment felt sweeter than honey because I wasn't begging for it. You don't need to surrender your identity or wage a war. You just need to find what is doable. Maybe it's simply spending less time together, giving you both space to breathe. Or maybe it's carving out richer, more intentional moments. A weekly walk in the park, baking cookies together, flipping through old photo albums. To sum up, feeling fed up with your husband as you age is not strange or wrong. It is a sign that you are growing, and it is a badge of honor worn by millions of women. It is fueled by deep-seated differences in brain wiring, clashing communication styles, and shifting life goals, all layered on top of a lifetime of tiny, unspoken hurts. Seeing this clearly helps you name your pain without drowning in it. Don't try to remodel your husband. Embrace your own growth and then tweak what you can. Lower the bar for him, rethink how you talk to him, and fiercely, unapologetically chase your own joy. Craving a life that matters is pure, human, and right. Hold that feeling close and make small, smart choices to make your later years sing. If this story hit home for you, I invite you to drop a reflection in the comments. What is one small step you can take this week to reclaim a piece of yourself? Your words could be a lifeline for someone else feeling just as invisible.